Well, hello, hello, hello. Hey, so this is the review video. What that means is we've already done this video. We're right here, which means you have a quiz coming up. So get ready. We'll be announcing that quiz. I've already announced it once, probably in email. So just make sure you're ready for that. Now, you should be going to about page 20 for this. But remember what you're really looking for. If the page is different, you're going to go and find this where it says review and Alex quiz 0A review homework. That's going to be your assignment. You're going to see this triangle. Okay. You're going to see this and this is what you're going to do right now. You're going to hit pause and you're going to fill it in. I don't care if you use your notes, but let's see if you can fill it in without using your notes. Because if you can fill it in without using your notes, then you're ready for the quiz, that part of the quiz. Because you won't be able to use your notes for the quiz, but if you can dump that triangle on your quiz before you start the quiz and not looking at your notes, but you have that memorized, you're going to have a lot of help. So what you're going to do is fill in this triangle, and then what you're going to do is simplify these three expressions. Hit pause, see if you can remember those things, and let's see how you do. So you're going to hit pause, do these problems, then push play and see if you understand them. Okay, good luck. All right, here you go. So this is the order of operations. If we're looking and we're gonna simplify, then what we do is we first do parentheses. And we're gonna do parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply and divide, then add and subtract. If you did that on example 1, you should have come out to 3. Okay. If you did example number 2, if you followed order of operations, should have come out to 48. And if you did that on number 3, you should have come out with 21. Okay. So if you did, and you can show your work, then you're good. You're ready to go. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next ones, so that if you do understand, you don't have to spend any more time on it. I would just say to be careful, make sure, just to remind you, I'll do this one with you. It's up here, because some of you have asked, you're not quite sure what an exponent is. That's all right. So what we're going to do is we follow order of operations. Again, if I were you, I'd be writing that triangle everywhere, right? We follow order of operations. The first thing we have, this is divide, this is subtract, those are parentheses, and this is an exponent. So we have to do that inside the parentheses, because we're going to look inside the parentheses. And if we look inside those parentheses first, we've got to figure out what 4 squared is. And if you forgot what that is, you got to remember that this means 4 times 4. Okay? But it's 2 factors of 4. And that's going to be, you're going to take 32 away, take that away from 32, right? And 4 times 4 is 16. So you're going to take 32 minus 16, which is 16. Okay, so now if we back out here, what we're doing is we brought this down. We're going to say that's 48. We're going to bring this down because we still haven't done anything with that. That's divide. And we're going to do 48 divided by 16. Just take your multiplication table, go down the 16 column till you see 48. It's going to be 3, so this equals 3. Okay, that's how we follow order of operations. I'm hoping this is the way your work's going to look. because this is neat, easy to follow, and you'll catch your mistakes if you make any, okay? Okay, so that's how you do those. Now I'm going to do an extended part of this video. Remember, I'll let you, but this is, you got to remember this, okay? So you can do the same thing with these others. So let's hit pause. Let's move on to the next part. See how you do on it. Now you do these. Again, hit pause. We've talked about how to do all these problems. We've practiced them in class. We've done them up on the board. We're going to do some more up on the board on Thursday and Friday, and probably Tuesday and Wednesday while we do the review. Okay? Okay, so we're going to work on these. You're going to do these two right now. See how you come out. Do not forget that order of operations. I would have this drawn again. I have it drawn on every problem. If I were you and you wanted to be safe, I'd make sure you look at that triangle, you have that triangle memorized, and you can do this. Okay? All right, now you go to town on this. Let's see how you do. Hit pause and do these two. Okay, there's your answers, 8 and 2. So before we go on with this, if you got 13 apples in one hand and you have 10 oranges in the other hand, what do you have? Big hands. Okay. So if you know how to do these and you got these answers, you got it nailed. You followed directions, you know what you're doing. If you didn't get those answers, now look at your work and see if you can see where your mistake was. If you can't, once this video comes to an end, I'm going to do the extended version so you can watch the rest of the video. Okay? You'll be able to watch the rest and see how to do these problems. The rest of the video will be my personal explanation of how to do each one of these problems. You're just going to fast forward to each one that you got wrong and count yourself good on the ones you didn't get wrong. You're going to fix the ones you got wrong if you can't find it already. Okay, but remember, we followed this order of operations all the way through. Okay, so this quiz is going to be order of operations and then rounding. So be careful. Remember to pay attention. I taught you to circle what you're rounding to so that you're thinking about it. Heck, the other day a student caught that I made a mistake on rounding because I wasn't paying enough attention to what it asked. So that student kindly said, "Hey, Bruno, I think you got it wrong." And she was right. So let's go. Hit pause, do these problems, and hit play when you're done. All right, there you go. So you can see these are your answers for example 6. That would be 5.4. 7 would be 15.80. 8 would be 0.96. And rounding the nearest tenth on 9 would be 6.8. If you put a 0 there, I don't know what Alex will do with it, but I would say you've got to be careful because that's still 0 100ths. And I guess you could say it's not 80 tenths, it's just 8 tenths. So 6.8 would be the most accurate. But, if they let you put the 0 in and it doesn't bother you with it, then I'm not going to bother you with it. Okay? So again, I'll do a deeper explanation at the extended part of the video. But if you know what you're doing here, you could just check that off and say, I'm getting rounding. Okay? Okay, let's look at these next ones. Okay, as we move up, hey, did you hear about the kidnapping at the school? Yeah, he woke up. Okay, do these two. Two things you should know. You should know the formula by now. Okay, you should know the formulas for both of these. And you should kind of know what you have to use because you've had it on like 3 or 4 problem assignments, right? We've talked about it in a couple of videos and you've seen it on the mini quizzes. So by now you should be getting a feel for it. If not, you should be asking questions, but you could Google these formulas. You could Google that too. Just don't Google the answers, but hey, good luck with this. Keep going. Let's see how you do. Again, hit pause, do these problems, write out the formulas, show your work, right? So you're practicing showing your work. Just be good to label things, calculate it, and remember to put the right units in because you'll have a choice of units. So you should know what the right units are. Okay, go. All right, here we go. So the formula for the triangle is base times height divided by 2. And I can show you in a minute why that's true, okay? But that's what it is, base times height divided by 2. And you're going to come out with an area of 24 feet squared. And it has to be squared. It can't be cubed. That's volume. It can't be just feet to the first power or just feet. That's perimeter, okay? That's a linear length. Okay, the formula for the parallelogram is base times height. And that would come out to be 13 times 13, which is 169 feet squared. Again, it's area. Area is always going to be square units. Okay? All right, so if you got this, then you're doing pretty good, right? You know the formulas, you plugged it in, you showed your work, you got those solutions, you got these 2 answers. If you got all of this, you are ready for this quiz. So let's hope you're doing well on it. Be honest with yourself. If you didn't get these right, go back and look at your work. Okay, good luck. All right, let's look at this example number 2. Again, we got to constantly remember that what we're talking about is this order of operations. You got to follow the order of operations. Okay, so if we're looking at this one, the first thing we got to do is we're looking here. There's an exponent. There's an exponent. Okay, and we have parentheses right here, right? So we got to take care of what's in the parentheses first. So just to be careful, especially if you struggle with this, I'm just going to write 2 to the 5th down. Now you could have done 2 to the 5th right there if you wanted to, and you'd be okay. But I'm going to just then say, okay, this is 9 times 4, 5, which is 4. And there, we simplified what's in the parentheses. Now you got to remember what 2 to the 5th means, okay? So 2 to the 5th means you're going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This is a really good one to know for your hundreds chart, okay? You might have already seen it as you were working towards your hundreds chart. But what that means is this is going to be 4 times 4 times 2. So that's going to be 16 times 2. That's going to be 32. And 4 squared is 16. 32 plus 16 is 48. And that's what we get for that answer. Because we followed the order of operations. We did parentheses first. Okay, so we did that part. Then we looked at our exponents. We did what our exponents told us to do. So there's our exponents here. Here's our exponent there. That came out to 32 plus 16. And then we added, right? And then we did the adding. That's this part here. Would give us 48. So you'd be looking right now at your work, because I'm spending the time. You don't have to be doing this. You're looking at this because you didn't understand it. Okay, the quiz is already done. You're looking at this now because you didn't know how to do these problems, or you made a mistake and you're not sure what your mistake is. So if you didn't know what your mistake is, now you should be looking at your work and saying, well, where is it that I made a mistake? It's not important that you made the mistake. It's important that you know where you made your mistake. So now let's look at this one, this next one. Okay, so when we're looking at this, again, we're looking at our order of operations, right? And we have simple operations because this is addition and this is subtraction, right? And this is multiplication, this is division. So we have to do multiplication and division first. We don't have to worry about left to right because it's just right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to drop the 9 down because we're not doing anything with it yet. We have 9 plus 3 times 6 is 18. Then we're going to go ahead and put that subtraction symbol over here. And then we got to do this. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, now we're doing addition and subtraction. And remember, I told you to draw this because that means with addition and subtraction, we just go left to right. They are inverse operations of each other, so we're going to go left to right. That means we're going to first add 9 plus 18, which is going to give us 27, minus 6. 27 minus 6 is 21. So notice what we did. We only had to concern ourselves with two parts. That's this part and this part, right? Multiply, divide, and add and subtract. So you should be looking now at your work. Not erasing your work, but look at your work and see if you know where your mistake was. And then over here to the left, over here, write some notes to help you remember how to follow order of operations. Hopefully, you've drawn this triangle and you put that in there, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Remember, you are only watching this right now because you got these wrong, okay? And so you're fast forward to the ones you got wrong. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to look at this again. We're going to look at what we have. And some people have asked, well, what is this part right here? So this part right here is parentheses, right? So you have to take care of that parentheses, but inside these parentheses you have these. So you have to take care of this first. So we're just gonna, since I'm gonna take care of it, I'm gonna draw, I have a parentheses here and here. I'm gonna bring the 34 down, and I know that 17 minus 10 is 7. And then I gotta multiply that times 2, and I'm gonna go ahead and write out this divided by 6 so I don't forget it. Because that's going to be something some of you are going to do, especially in the stress of the moment. You might forget it. Now I look, and if I look at my order of operations, I've taken care of my parentheses. But now what I have to do is the multiplication. Now it's inside that parenthesis. I still have to think about this parenthesis. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take care of that multiplication. 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, and that means I'm going to have 34 plus 14. And then when I get that calculated, because I'm taking care of the parentheses first, right? Then I'm going to divide by 6. And when I look, I'm going to see that I'm going to go ahead and take that 34 plus 14 is 48 divided by 6. And now you just go to your multiplication table, look down that 6 column until you get to 48. And you're going to see over there that says 8. So 48 divided by 6 is 8. So this is 8, right? Okay, so again, you're looking at your work, seeing if you know what you did wrong, and working from there, right? You're only watching this if you got the wrong answer on this. Okay, so I look at this. again, I'm going to go back to this triangle and what we talked about in class a couple of times, and we did it in class as a group, was that this right here, you have to treat this like it's parentheses and this like it's parentheses. And then that symbol right there, this means divide. So you have to remember that bar right here means divide. So what we'll really have, I showed you in class that if I were you, I would say, oh, I have 10 plus 8 times 5 divided by the 9 minus 4 quantity squared. Okay? You got to take care of what's in the parentheses first. So you could do it that way, or you could do it the other way. Just simplify both of them, top and the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to write it out. So I have 10 plus 8 times 5 divided by 9 minus 4 quantity squared. So that's going to be, when I look at this, I'm going to take care of the multiplication first because I'm doing the order of operations, right? I'm going to multiply before I add. So because this is add, this is multiply. So I take care of multiply first. So that's going to be 8 times 5 is 40 plus 10, that's 50. Okay, now I'm dividing this, right, by whatever this comes out to be. So if I look at this, 9 minus 4 is 5, quantity squared. 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. So this is 50 divided by 25, which is 2. Okay, so hopefully you understand. You're seeing where your mistake was. You're writing some notes over here to the right or to the left. Some notes to help you understand where your mistake was, what you need to do next time to get it to do it right. That's the hope, right? Okay, let's move on to the next problem. Can we look at this? Again, what you need to do, what Mrs. Pritchard's really good at explaining, you need to look at the tenths. That's this one. That's what we're rounding to. So now we're going to go ahead and look at that spectrum. The 2/10 we're talking about is either 5.4 or 5.5. And we just have to figure out which one is this closest to, the 4/6. Now, the thing is, that's what we pay. This is what we were looking at. This is the one that determines what way we round. We're either going to keep it the same or we're going to round up. 5.446. This is 5.45. Right? So 446 is going to be over here, which means it's closer to 5.4. Okay, and this is that pendulum that Mrs. Alvey uses. Okay, so if we look over here, rounding the nearest hundredth. If we look, there's the hundredth. That's the tenths. This is the hundredths. That's the thousandths. Rounding the thousands, which means we're going to look at this number to determine which way we go. So we draw out our spectrum. Then we're either talking about 15.79 or the next one will be 15.80. 79, this is 79 100ths, this is 80 100ths. So that's the next one. That's what makes this one a little bit tricky. Again, we're going to put it on this spectrum. So we're going to look right here. That's the halfway point, right? And we look here, and this is a 6. That means it's going to be, that's right here. This is closer to 15.80. It's 15 and 80 100ths. Okay, again, this one is the hundredths. So that means we're going to be looking at this number here. And we're going to look at this number to determine what we're going to round to. So again, we draw that spectrum. Okay, so we're looking at that. Then we're looking to see which one are we closest to. This is 9.955, right? Which is right here in the middle. And what we say is we're going to round up if we're right there in the middle. We're just going to go over here. So this becomes 0.96. You could argue, oh, well, it's equal distance, and you would be right. But we say if that's a 5 or bigger, we round up. That's what the banks do too. So okay. So again, this one, when we look at this 6.77, what we're looking at is we're round to the nearest tenth. There's the 10th place value. This is the 100th place value. So that's the one we're going to look at to determine where we round. So again, I'm going to draw the spectrum out. There's our spectrum. This is our key point. This is going to be 6.75. That's that halfway point. This is 6.77, which is going to be right here. So the question is it closer to 6.7 or 6.8? And it is closer to 6.8. So we round to 6.8. So when you're looking at this, if that spectrum helps you, you should get used to drawing it because it helped you. Okay? That's how you do that problem. You're looking at this because you got these wrong. So you have to try something different. Maybe you got to find another way to do it if this isn't making sense. But you could do it. I have faith in you. This one, these two are just simple. We're just finding the areas, formula for the area. The hardest part of this is remember what part is the base. And the base is always going to be, see that right there? That's the part that tells you your base and your height. So we're talking, this is the base, and this is our height. On this parallelogram, again, this is the height, and this is the base. Because they're connected to each other, right? Somehow they're related to each other, right? So now we're just going to substitute in. The base on this is 12 feet. The height of this is 4 feet. Then we divide that by 2. That's 48 divided by 2, which is 24 feet squared. Parallelogram, of course, we have the base is 13 feet because this is a parallelogram, which means this side is the same length as that side. Okay, that 14 doesn't mean anything for what we're calculating. Neither does that 10 up there. Okay, so we're just worried about the 13 and the 13. So our base is 13, our height is 13 feet. So 13 times 13, go down your multiplication table, you get 169. Remember, you're calculating area because you went feet here and feet here, feet squared. So it's going to be feet squared. They're going to give you the choice, feet or feet squared. Okay, so this was a long video, but you didn't have to watch the whole video. I hope you're figuring things out. If not, you better be coming to class with some questions. Good luck.